So, what did I have for breakfast? I had Pop-Tarts, cup of coffee. I was a normal, average teenage kid. Never thought I would be in law enforcement. I had a father that was in law enforcement. I had several friends that were in law enforcement. With my dad being a cop, I got to be around a lot of cops, and we were all good friends. And I really didn't care for what they did at the time. Me being the typical kid. The older I got, the more I saw the need for law enforcement. I rode with my dad one night, and I was literally hooked. 6 months later, I was doing part-time police work in my hometown, and just rolled it into doing part-time stuff for the first probably year, and then I got hired full-time and worked for the city of Monona for 2 years. And towards the end of that, they didn't want to send me to the academy. They wanted to keep stringing me along, so I quit there and went back to electrical work, and just kept my foot in the door, working small departments. I've actually worked for 10 different departments, just doing reserve work. And in 2001, I needed to change. A friend of mine, the chief of police in Waukon, gave me a call and asked me if I was interested in doing the job. And he'd heard I had extensive law enforcement experience, and they sent me to the academy, and I worked in Waukon for about 4.5 years. Great little town, just kind of stuck in the past. So I heard North Liberty was expanding, and I said, that looks like a really nice place to work. Plus, it was really much closer to my mother and father-in-law's house in Cedar Rapids. So that's how I ended up here. Well, there really isn't a normal day. We have certain routines that we follow. We come in and do briefing in the morning. I show up at the streets department, get my car ready, check it, make sure everything's working. Once I got the car all set up, I head into the office, check my email, check the voicemail, make sure there's nothing pending for me or calls I need to handle, get a hold of dispatch, let them know I'm on duty, and start my day. It's not routine, even though there are routines within the job. I worked as an electrician for 12 years. And it's kind of the same thing. You come to work, you pull wire, you snip wires, you're putting wire nuts on. It's the same thing every day, albeit you're at different jobs and different job locations. I could come into work and literally go from doing absolutely nothing to going to a bank alarm, to a bank robbery, to a domestic call, to a barking dog, to a welfare check like this morning. It's just never the same thing twice. And it's the interaction with the people that I really enjoy the most out of doing it. She lived right behind me, and I was very good friends with her brother. And I came home off the road working electrical work, and he asked me if I wanted to date his sister, and I said, well, I don't know. So I met her and fell in love from there. We've been together ever since. I've been married for 16.5 years. Wonderful wife. She works in Iowa City and does brokerage work. I have 2 children, 11 and 14. Really one of those other things I never thought I'd do, have kids, but I love my kids and I'm so proud of them. So I'm very lucky to have a wife that allows me to do this job, because there's a huge sacrifice involved. For the first 10 years of my law enforcement career, I've always worked at night. Just recently, I switched over to days, had the opportunity to do that, and it's been very nice for my family. So. I'd like to take a little more leadership role within the department. I already have a little bit. I'm a FTO, a field training officer for the department. You kind of get to mold the department in the image that you'd like to see go forward, and the chief and lieutenant have seen fit to put me in that role, and it's very fulfilling to watch new officers come on board and just blossom. You know, they start out kind of awkward and not knowing, you know, where their place is, and as their confidence builds, it's very fulfilling, like I said, to do that. Like I said, I'd like to do more administrative functions with the department, maybe investigative slot, or some type of a training officer. How big it actually was. I came and rode, and I actually met the officer that I rode with on 965, and I thought, this is the only road in town. You know, this is the main thoroughfare, because it seems like where I'm from, that would be a huge highway. But it's the main artery through town, but there's so many other areas, and it's expanded so much. Even when I first started, you know, every week there was a new city street that we had to learn, and it's continued that like that. It's slowed down some, but it's really grown fast. Probably going to say a lot about my geeky self. I really like the Star Wars series. Those are probably my favorite movies. Probably the original, Empire Strikes Back. I've always seen myself as kind of a Wolverine. Without the claws, obviously. But he's kind of a loner. I like that aspect of the job as well. You get to be with people, but you also be, you know, a quiet, shy person as well. I really like pizza. Next to that, probably steak, prime rib. Never got it as a kid, so everything was dark gray hamburger. I just read the Reagan Diaries. Took me a long time. It's a pretty thick book. I really enjoyed that book. All the little things I didn't know about Reagan. You always hear a lot of people say, "Oh, he was a great president, you know, for this reason or that reason." But you really get to see a side of him that nobody ever saw. I enjoy shooting, riding four-wheelers. I really like archery. I'm an avid hunter. I really like to fish. I grew up along the Mississippi, so I really love the water. Any aspect of it, playing in it, fishing it, working in it. The shooting sports are a lot of fun. It's not just for, you know, my job. I really like shooting clay pigeons and hunting, bird hunting, upland game birds, stuff like that. I've got a lab, and the one I have now is not a hunting dog, but, you know, she likes to go out and chase the birds around, and I just love the outdoor part of it. You're in nature, and I've always liked the tinkering of firearms. I've always worked on some, you know, sort of firearm or another throughout my life, and it's probably the part I like about it the most. It's you can put something together and see the inner workings of it. That's a tough question. That's a very tough question. You said things, you didn't say people, so I can't take, you know, someone else with me, I suppose. Wouldn't be worth going if I couldn't take somebody with me. I guess I'll start with the things first. I'd probably take plenty of clean drinking water and food, obviously. Something to make a shelter with. Otherwise, if I could take my wife with me, I'd probably take my wife with me, and kids. Probably 4 or 5. My family owned a bakery. I can remember sitting on a 5-gallon pail, playing with dough. Everything. Cookies, cakes, breads, donuts, fried stuff, baked stuff. My mom made wedding cakes in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, right across the river from my hometown, Marquette McGregor. Automobile. I love cars. I really like to have a 70 GTO Judge. It's my birth year, and one of my close friends had one up north, and it was a very coveted item. I have to have constant control of everything, because as police officers, we're all a little bit control freaks. We have to make sure everything that's okay, whether it be other coworkers or citizens or the situation that we're dealing with. Can it be a problem? Sure. Has it been one? No. We all, like I said, we all fit like pieces in a puzzle. I think we all balance that very well, especially within our department, because we've got all different types of personalities. We've got guys that are, introverts, and we've got our extroverts. So everybody kind of knows where their place is and what their role is within the department. So. Peace and quiet and my big screen. I like my downtime. I like to relax. My wife really enjoys reality TV shows. I live in a reality TV show, and I don't want more reality. I want to switch off. I think that's why I like fantasy type movies. It lets me live, lets my brain go somewhere else other than here, because it's not always pleasant. You come home from a rough day where you've seen horrific things, and it allows you to escape and kind of recharge the batteries. Never say never, because I've seen it far too many times. I've said never, and had to come back and bite me. So it's been a motto of mine since I've been a boy, because I've heard too many people say I'm never doing this or I'm never doing that or whatever. I never thought I'd be a police officer. Never thought I'd get married, So. Had a lot of near-death experiences when I was a kid, being in places where I shouldn't have been. Fell off a wagon, got run over by the same wagon. Fell down the hay chute in the barn, knocked unconscious. Had a pile of hay collapse on me as a child. Fell out of a bucket on a tractor, just about got ran over by my dad, by the same tractor. There's been a lot of close calls in my life. No, see the light or anything like that, but there's been some close stuff. It is probably the most marked experience in my life. It's really, really powerful. It overrides everything in your body, and you can't, control anything. All your muscles tense up, and they're firing, I think, at like 19 times a second. The pain is, like I said, out of this world. I've never encountered anything that's hurt as much as that. But on the same token, as soon as it's over with, the 5 seconds, the pain is gone. There's no residual effects. I took a full 5-second ride because I wanted to know if I have to use this tool, then I want to know what I'm putting into somebody else. So I'm just not using it haphazardly. And it was a very, very powerful experience. I struggle with people not understanding what we're doing a lot of the times, or why we say the things we say that may sound terribly rude or offensive. But know this, we say them for our protection or their protection, and many people just don't get that aspect of it. They watch cops and hear people yell, and scream and holler at people, and that's just not what we're about. But when I have to raise my tone to someone and really let them know that they've crossed the line, a lot of people don't understand that. They think they're just being screamed at like a small child. But oftentimes that may save them from having something happen to them. Sometimes we have to be very firm, and as I've seen, a lot of times that can be cured up cured by bringing them back afterwards and just saying, I said this to you for this reason. And they don't always get that reason. And that's probably what I struggle with the most, that people, they think that we're just out running around rogue, screaming and hollering at people for no reason whatsoever. But, we're doing it for a reason, and we don't take it lightly. The average citizen on the street that I run into would probably not know that I am as gregarious as I am, or as personable, because you have to have a professional front, and you have to deal with people in a somewhat different fashion than the conversation that we're having right now. A lot easier to get along with one-on-one than I am probably when I'm on duty, because I have to. I have to remain in control, and I have to be ready for most situations that come my way. So I don't necessarily have to be switched on all the time when I'm at work. And when I can sit down and talk to people, that's when they can see the side of me that they don't necessarily see on the street. If you were switched on all day long, you wouldn't have anything left at the end of the day. And I have gone through those kind of days where it's been just one call right after another, and it's been very stressful. You make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because you can run out of gas very quickly in this job. And I've seen a lot of guys that last 5 years and get out because they can't take the stress, they can't take the adjustment to the lifestyle, the way that people treat you, because we are held to a higher standard, and we can't do the things that other people do. You have to make up your mind early in the game that this is the way it has to be, and you adjust to it. And if you can't, then you need to seek life elsewhere.